Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we're watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
I'm doing well, Ben. How are you?
Good, but I have sad news.
Sad news.
Yeah, our biggest crush is now off the market.
I know. If you weren't going to bring it up, I was going to bring it up.
Yeah, so. People Magazine's Sexiest Man of the Year 2002, I believe, is now married. He married Alba Baptista, who I do not know. I just know she's Portuguese, and her only American credit is on Warrior Nun on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. My wife watches that show.
Yeah, I know people who watch it as well, but I just don't care. But I will be bringing up some Warrior Nuns in a moment. Okay. Just not that show. So, pour one out for Chris Evans. I mean, he had his pick of the litter. Hopefully this is a good one. Let's roll and start talking. Our main topic of the episode is a haunting in Venice. And I got some things. I'll try to be quick. Steve's got some things, but not a whole lot. But we're going to roll first and see how this episode will go.
15. That's probably your highest in a while.
And, yeah, maybe.
16.
Okay.
Not bad. Pretty bad, yeah.
All right. Well, I want to talk about some things I consumed, or at least a thing that I consumed. Arby's has a big game burger. Have you seen it at all? It was a limited time thing. I missed it one year. They had a venison, just a deer burger, and it was like one Saturday, and I happened to come the Sunday afterwards, and they were like, "Ooh, sorry, one day." So
is it like a moose?
It's actually. I got this.
I assume the big game burger is not necessarily about how big the meat is. It's, oh, look, the Eagles are playing or something.
No, not at all.
It had nothing to do with football season?
It's about big game as in game you shoot. This isn't a cow. It's 33% elk, 33% venison, and 33% beef. All right, one of them's 34, but it's, elk, venison, beef.
Huh.
And I like deer. It's very good. I've never had elk.
I haven't had deer in a long time.
Deer jerky is the best. But so it has like fried onion strips, pickles, Swiss cheese, and a dark cherry steak sauce. I'm just like, damn, this sounds fucking great. Well,
it gave you diarrhea.
I would like to call it the big lame burger because it is not very good. It is very gamey. I don't know if you've had goat or anything before.
So it's as advertised.
Yes, it's just maybe not for me. It's kind of boring. The dark cherry steak sauce tasted like a teriyaki, like the sweet onion chicken teriyaki from Subway. Take off the good sweet onion stuff and just have that teriyaki sauce. It needs the other one. You can't have one or the other of those sauces. It was a little too bitter for me, a little too gamey, which is a shame. Even though Arby's isn't known for burgers, they have the Wagyu burger like once a year, and that's pretty damn good. That's a good burger.
Wagyu beef is good.
I pick that up every time I go. So pass on that. Also, I had a Mountain Dew Zero Sugar Voodoo Mystery flavor for this year's Halloween. Tastes like a pixie stick or a.
The mystery flavor is sugar water.
Yeah, it's always so generic. It's boring. It's nothing special, but it's not gross like some of the other things we've had.
Yeah. Now, is it supposed to be a mystery flavor of this? It's blueberry. There's
no.
It
actually has a flavor.
Or is it just? It's a made-up flavor, so that's what makes it a mystery.
No, I'm pretty sure they released the information afterwards, like, oh, this was Fruity Pebbles, this was toothpaste, this is motor oil, whatever the hell it is. and they're all very just like, this tastes like Swedish Fish, this tastes like Sour Patch Kids. It's like, oh, it's all just different variations of sweet. Mm. So I want to talk about a couple things real quick.
Okay.
Since I have more. I'm sorry, you've barely been able to speak, Steve, but I need you to just be quiet. I have some very important things I need to talk about.
Is my wife here? Just kidding, I love you.
So two of my shows came to an end. I've mentioned them before, be very brief, but Foundation Season 2 just had its season finale, and I have never been more satisfied with a season finale. It was great. there's so many fun ideas with this show because it does span many years. There's power, not, I don't want to say powers, but there's people who are just so damn good at math that they're practically seeing the future, and some are connected to the past. And then you have, like I said, the cloning of the emperors. So you could have some episodes where they're real sons of bitches and you can't wait for them to get their comeuppance, or sometimes they have kind of a emotional arc and you want them to find happiness, and you can kill any of these guys because they'll just decant another one and slot him back in. So it's fun that you can kill your main villain and bring him back in the next episode like it's nothing. It's really fun. It may seem kind of cheap, but it really works within the show. Not every story is great. The main story of getting the foundation going, that is less interesting this season. I just want them to go back to the Cleons. There's everything they're doing has so much more mystery to it, and we get more backstory of the world. And so every time it cuts away from them, I'm just like, all right, Salvor, and Gale, they're just not as interesting as anything else. But this show's going to go down as one of the greatest sci-fi shows of all time. If it can keep this level of, effects, story writing, I hope it goes at least 5 seasons and we could get a good wrap up. But it'll go down as one of the best, and everybody will hop on to the bandwagon around season 4 when it's getting towards the end. And
Kind of like The Wire.
something, yeah. Some shows just take a season or two for the whole world to start loving it, and this will be one.
Now, do you think the main thing holding it back is the fact that it's on Apple, or that it's just a super high concept show?
Both. It's like, I don't know what that is. Yes, it's an Isaac Asimov story, but it's not a household name, and people just think it's just one of those weird sci-fi shows. There's Invasion, and then the Mission to Mars ones. There's just so much out there. Who knows what's good and what is just absolute trash? So I could see people just not wanting to watch it. And same with me. I saw ads for it before I watched anything on Apple TV, and I just didn't care. And it took a friend saying, dude, I know you and I know what you like. You're going to love this. And so I trusted him, and thank God I did, and I surpassed him too. He kind of like fell off, and I was like, dude, now you got to catch up to me. Who's the real fan?
So, who's this friend? Who are you talking to?
His name's Brian. Shout out. What's up, Brian? He's my work buddy. I go to work early every day.
I used to be your work buddy.
Yeah. And then you left. That's not true. I left. And then you followed, and then we both got fired, and then we had to go our own ways. But now you're my real buddy. You've elevated from work buddy to real buddy. Sorry, Brian. I do consider you a friend, but we've never hung out outside of work, so.
Fuck you, Brian. Anyway.
Just be happy he's not Steve. I work with a Steve, and he's a pretty cool guy, but he doesn't. It's like, I haven't seen a movie since Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds. He's.
18 years ago.
He's just one of those people like, I just don't really have time for that. I got to put my 60 hours of work in, and then I have my grandkids to take care of. And like, all right, you may be a Steve, but you're not making the cut. You're not replacing OG Steve. The other show was Harley Quinn season 4, just came to an end this past Friday as well. And it's just so damn funny. Maybe not the strongest season, but no show can do what this does. If any other show would start taking punches at your Supermans and your Batmans and maybe representing them in a way you aren't used to, I could see people not liking the show. Oh, you made Lex Luthor kind of like a mansplaining, fanboying piece of shit. Batman's a huge mama's boy, daddy's boy, and he's pathetic. Gordon is absolutely the biggest, scumbag loser in the planet. And it's like, that's not Gordon.
Yeah.
You don't know him that way. But what they do with it is very funny, and you just roll with it. It's something you're not going to see in any other sort of DC show. They get Harley and Ivy pretty good. Ivy's a little more dorky and less ultra seductress, but their chemistry is so good. Clayface kind of took a backseat to everybody else, and I'm thankful. He's not my favorite character, so it's like I get why people may not like it because they they leaned into the actor side of Clayface, and he's a terrible actor. And in season 3, it was he had to pretend to be Billy Bob Thornton because he accidentally killed Billy Bob Thornton. So he can turn into him and look like him, but he's a terrible actor. So he's trying to do Billy Bob Thornton's
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton's accent, but it's still just like his own. It's Alan Tudyk doing it, and it's so Shakespearean and theatrical. It's ridiculous, and it's very, very funny. It's just not my favorite thing that they've done with Clayface. But at least it's more than just man who tries to punch Batman. But that show's great, and there was a preview at the end of the credits for Kite Man is getting his own spin-off show. It's called Kite Man, Hell Yeah, and it's just him doing his own thing and his own. I think all the characters are going to be new. They don't look familiar to anything else, so I think they're just inventing some new characters. And I'll tune in for that. And what a strange character to get a spin-off, but he was one of the highlights of season 1 and 2, so it's not that surprising.
Interesting. All right.
What do you got, Steve?
Well, the only thing I have besides the main topic is playing Baldur's Gate. Now, obviously, this game could go on for 200 plus hours. I'm about 18 hours in. And I don't know if I've ever been more impressed with a game.
Oh.
Like I played The Witcher, and I was blown away by the world that it presented, and seeing some of these interesting fantasy places, and it was just a gorgeous game that I didn't expect to really like. And you're playing God of War, where the action is just so fun, and the heart and relationship of these two characters. Now, I don't think this game hits necessarily the highest of highs in terms of like certain other, especially fantasy-based games, but in terms of just the amount of things you can do and the choices you make, everything that you can think you're doing something good, but there's always an equal and opposite reaction, so bad things can happen. There was one part I ran into a frog, and the frog nearly wiped my party out, and it was just a frog.
My guy at work was telling me about it, that he came across a frog that was actually a wizard.
Well, so I looked it up afterwards, because I was in this this witch hag's swamp domain, and so there's all these like little minions running around or whatever, and I was like trying to avoid them, and I snuck past some of them, and there was just this frog here, and he seemed like a decent enough guy. Now, obviously, there's something more to this frog. I think I rolled a perception check or something. I was like, so there's something different about this frog. And then it prompted me to like speak to him. And so I just said, "Here, froggy, froggy." And he spat like a poison cloud at my group that infected all of us.
Wow.
And then he did a mirror image, which boosted it. So the highest your AC can be in Dungeons & Dragons is 30. This motherfucker's AC was 29. So it was just 4 trained warriors just whacking at this frog, and he's just dodging all of our stuff. And so I was able to beat him without anyone dying, but everybody was super low HP at this point because they just couldn't hit him, and they just kept getting poisoned. And I looked it up afterwards, and you had to beat the hag and then come back, and then the frog would lead you to treasure.
Okay.
But because I didn't do that yet, the frog was just like, "Oh, you guys must be assholes then," I guess, and decided to fight me.
So did you get the treasure anyways?
No.
Okay, so it's like that treasure will not show up unless you do it in the right order.
I think so.
That's so cool.
So, yeah, that's the other thing. Sometimes you're doing a thing and you don't realize, oh, you had to do other things to interact with this.
Because in most video games, it's just like, oh, side quest, do it now.
Yeah. And I'm doing that thing where I'm walking because you want to explore as much as possible. And you're like, well, I see that this is going to lead me to a fight. Well, let me go this direction. But then...
oh, this takes me out of town. Nope, I got to finish all my town stuff.
But because this world is so vast and there's so many things you can run into and so many characters, and like you can talk to any animal. You can interact with anything, really. You can pick up a ton of stuff. There's tons of notes and stuff that are in drawings that are left around. You can read them, and maybe they have some useful information. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's just little pieces of lore. It just makes the world feel more filled out. The scope of this game is crazy. I don't know how they did it. It's how video games aren't the most pop. I mean, I guess they kind of are
Yeah.
super.
But why aren't everybody
it's
playing
like,
games?
whether you're 5 years old or 85, you should be playing a video game.
There's something for you.
Yeah, there's just the scope of games is impressive, and there's no reason you can't like it.
Mm-hmm. And some people, like my roommate, she tries to play It Takes Two with her boyfriend,
Yeah.
and she's like, I just don't think I'm made for video games. Like, she's got to jump, and then like do a dive. So you have to, jump, dive, and she's like, jump, dive. I'm like, no, you gotta find the rhythm to it, and she just doesn't have that. So it's not for everyone, but it's a learnable thing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why older people don't do it, because it's just they weren't raised on it. We started playing video games when they were essentially coming out, and
I mean, me more than you, and definitely people before me. I mean, even the early '80s and early '70s, they were forms of video games.
Sure, but I just mean.
But someone didn't play Pong once and then stuck with it, and then they just were like, oh, I played a video game when I was a kid, and I never went back.
But like Sega, Nintendo,
sure. If you start at like 64, the base of Nintendo.
So when games had more than just jump or move, but those were very simple mechanics, we learned those, and then games got more advanced, and we
motion control.
Yeah, we understood the natural progression of things. Where if you're 65 and you're jumping into video games for the first time, you're like, this is way too much.
Just like
you might as well be playing basketball with Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
but you can learn to play video games where you can't beat Michael Jordan.
Watch me. I'll wait till he's 80.
But anyway, so the game has a cast of characters who are all interesting, who have all interesting backstories and have these sort of conditions where, oh, this person's in your team, but if you want him to be in your team, you have to give him magic items that he will consume. And that kind of gives him the ability to fight better.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you're giving up magical items that you could use.
Okay.
Or you have a member of your team who may be a vampire, but he needs to drink blood. But if he drinks blood from you, now you take penalties to some of your rolls. But now he fights better. And it's just every character has some sort of condition. Which
sounds like a nightmare for an in-person DM to try to keep track of all this shit.
Sure. But that's what's great about it, is it's D&D that you don't have to fucking really think about other than your own choices.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm just going around I'm in Act 1, I'm going around the map. And the only thing I would say that's really frustrating is you have to really think about battle, the combat. It's turn-based, and I've never really loved turn-based games other than Pokemon, but that's because I kind of grew up with it.
But it's kind of necessary for games like this.
But yeah, but I'm actually really enjoying the turn-based aspect of it, and having to kind of think about strategy and where you can lead. And like most games, I just put all my power-ups into. I'm going to be super strong, so I can just whack my way through this.
Yeah.
But I'm having a really good time playing some of these support characters, and okay, they're going to cast a thing that boosts your AC, and then this person's going to cast some sort of fog, so it makes enemies unable to see us properly.
Oh, but that enemy has the special eyes, and they can see through fog.
So you really can't kind of half-ass it. You really have to think about your strategy, and you only have so many spell slots. If you're on that, and this guy is like really hard to hit, then you're just swinging at him, well, you're going to be fucked. But I keep running into fights that I am not qualified for, and this sucks. And the other thing is, it doesn't save very much. You have to save yourself.
Okay.
And it's so easy to forget because I'm so enraptured and engaged in the story and all this stuff and exploration.
You're used to walking through a door and it auto-saves automatically.
Yeah. So there was a time where I played for, I think, like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I got to a fight where I lost and all my characters died. I was like, well, I can't do it. And I went to restart because I was I have to, 15 minutes ago, I'll play the last 15 minutes again. I was like, no. We didn't save for 2 fucking hours.
Wow.
So I had to play my old file and do everything I just did kind of again. And then...
At least it gives you opportunities to change some things. Like, oh man, I really fucked up that one question with that one person. Oh, it didn't save? Cool. Let me try that again.
Yeah. So now I save all the time because I learned my lesson. Because I really don't want to do all that again.
Yeah.
But there's definitely been situations where I've failed miserably and go, okay, well, I'm just going to reload my last save and just jump back into it. And it's great because the PS5 runs so smooth. It takes, as massive as this game is and as many details as there are, it takes 30 seconds to a minute tops to just get you back in. You don't really have to wait a ton for loading. And it's just so interesting. I highly recommend it. Obviously, this game probably isn't for everybody just because people aren't fans of fantasy or deep lore or long conversations. I usually hate playing for Horizon Forbidden West where you're just talking to somebody for like 15 fucking minutes. It was so annoying.
And you want to do every dialogue choice.
Yeah.
Because what if I miss out on information? Whereas this, it probably passes you certain dialogue choices, right? After you answer a certain way.
Yeah, so you can, usually you probably get no more than 5 choices, but typically, probably the average is 3. You get kind of a nice way to talk to them, a medium way to talk, and then like you're a dickhead about it. That's kind of the general scope of it. But depending on what you say, they give you this answer, and you might not be able to backtrack to the other things. It's just you're having a conversation. You don't, and that's just a conversation. And sometimes it works great in your favor, sometimes it works bad, and sometimes you run into a bugbear having sex with a troll because you open the door and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And then you're like, now you have to fight a troll and a bugbear because you interrupted their sex.
Was that a thing you had to like lockpick, like a shed, and you caught people in it?
Well, you heard moaning from inside, and you could. It was one of those things where I walked away at first, and I was like, "What? I gotta see what's in there." It's too tempting not to. But yeah, this game is very adult.
My buddy was telling me about that, and we were just trying to think of like funny signs to put on the door so no one would walk in on you. It's like, I'm getting some dick, don't use your lockpick. It's like this van a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
Yeah.
That was the only good one we could come up with.
Yeah, the whole appeal of Dungeons and Dragons is it's a game that's in your imagination and you can do anything. Well, the appeal of this game is you can do anything, but you don't have to imagine jack shit because it's all right there. But you can build your own character, you can play any class, you can multi-class, you can change the classes of the companions that are with you, and you can build their specs or whatever you want to call it. You can give them any sort of magic item you want. You can take it's just... I'm only 17 hours in, and it's just blowing my fucking mind how intricate this game is. And I don't have a ton of free time, but every time I get a few, like an hour or two here or there, I just want to play Baldur's Gate because I want to get back into it. And yeah, I can't speak to it enough. I don't think it's... and let me talk about the inventory system real quick. And this is my last thing, and only because I know you and I are not like people who love inventory systems, especially vast, expansive ones.
Yeah.
I've been playing for, like I said, 17 hours, and I'm picking up tons of stuff. I've never had to really sell anything.
Okay, good.
So you have like a full big, inventory or whatever. But once you run into a guy selling thing, you can just sell a bunch of it or whatever. But at no point has it been tedious. And there's different filters you can put on. But yeah, the inventory system doesn't bother me. It's been actually surprisingly simple, but the other thing is this game there's no real tutorials. It doesn't tell you just kind of have to discover a lot of stuff. I've gone on the Baldur's Gate subreddit and just the amount of lists of just, I didn't realize you could do this. Here's some tips and tricks for you because the game doesn't tell you this, how to whatever. Kudos to Larian Studios who made it. I don't know how they did it. I'm thoroughly impressed how they did it. All the reviews for this game have said 10 out of 10 masterpiece. I agree. The only question I have is once I beat it, will I want to play it again if I put 100 or 2 hours in? Because that's the only thing is I kind of want to play as other classes too.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can play for 40 hours as a paladin and then get to talk to a guy and he'll make you a bard. You don't have to play the game.
Sure.
You can switch it up anytime, but
the choices you make will be completely different, and it'll take the story in different places.
More or less, I guess. Probably, maybe. I think it has more to do, it would affect your combat and how you roll.
Okay.
Just because different classes have different skill sets and stuff.
Sure, but you could play...
But the story would play out...
But you could do, like this character you're very rude to in this playthrough, and the next time you go through it, you try to be nice, and
Well, sure,
things will change.
and I know
from that.
people are playing the Dark Urge playthrough, where you are kind of it's more of an evil campaign.
Just dick
but,
to everyone.
But it's replayability I'm interested in, and there is multiplayer. I haven't done it yet, but you can get up to I think 4 of your friends, and just have your own created characters and just play the story that way.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty cool.
It just kind of swaps out who you have on for my character. I just take someone else's slot.
Yeah.
In your party.
So I could be wrong about this, but I think all your companions, they just don't. They're not in your group, and you just have.
Yeah. You just slot in one of your companions.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I just want to make sure that I understood what you were saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can just play the game with some buddies now. That's probably hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially as big as this game is. But I think you can do, like, let's say there's 3 people or 4 people playing, and one guy's like, oh, I can't play for a month or whatever. Well, the 3 of you can still carry on that campaign and without
swap that guy out.
Yeah, and just swap them out.
Okay.
Which is awesome. And then there's split screen co-op, couch co-op, I should say, which they don't make those games anymore, but it's super cool that they did it for this. 10 out of 10. I wish I could tell you more about the story and all that good stuff.
But you're only 17 hours in.
But I'm barely in it. But the amount of monsters and scenarios I've run into have all been super interesting and fun, and I'm having a grand old time. That was a very long explanation of Baldur's Gate, but it's crazy that it's a long explanation, and I'm barely in it.
You're barely scratching the surface. All right, cool. I have a hypothetical for you.
Sure.
You know, I love my hypotheticals, and I saw this on, I don't know, scrolling. Some other random stupid fucking podcast probably posed it, and I went, oh, that's a good one. Would you rather have seeds in your meat or bones in your fruit?
Seeds in my meat?
Yeah? Really? Because me and my roommate said bones in our fruit.
Why?
Because,
now, are we talking watermelon seeds, or are we talking
I'm not
sesame
sure.
seeds?
I don't know. Whatever seeds would come. I have no idea what kind of seeds would be in that meat. I imagine watermelon.
Would those seeds grow in the meat?
See, that's like the question of how does this world work? If there's bones in your fruit, are they living creatures that are like sentient? Like,
you're picking up basically tiny little chicks and just tossing in your mouth like they're
and does
grapes?
Meat grow out of the ground? I don't have the answers to that, but someone serves you a steak and it's got seeds in it, or you pick up an orange and it's got like a little rib cage inside.
Yeah, I definitely have to go the seeds in meat, assuming that eating the seeds have no other effects within the meat. They're just a nuisance on your mouth.
You have to spit them out.
Yeah, it's just, I can have this juicy steak and just go tooey, and then that's over.
Little spittoons become like the standard.
If we're talking fruit, like the great thing about fruit, most fruit is just it's soft, so you pop them in and and all the juices like explode into your mouth. Where it's like you do that, you can't do that anymore because now you have to kind of go slow with it and pick out the bones. So it's just, and if you did do that, well, now you're just stabbing your tongue or the inner of your mouth.
It
where
really
the seeds
depends.
are really just kind of like, oh, well, it's annoying I have to spit these out, but at least the steak's good.
I think it really depends on the bones. Like, if an orange is filled with 100 fucking fish bones that are small and flexible and easy to choke on, yeah, I'm not going to really like that. But I just kind of imagine, because we deal with seeds and cores and stems with fruit. Why would a bone be any different than having to eat around the seed? Well, you eat around the bone. Now,
but we eat seeds. We don't eat bone.
Bone broth. You could make a bone broth. They boil down all the marrow and eat it. You could eat bones.
But then that's just a liquid, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but then it's not really bones anymore. It's just bone soup.
Yeah, but you can eat it. It just takes some time.
That's different.
Now, I imagine if you ordered raw meat at a grocery store, you order some steaks, it's going to have seeds in it. But if you bought a hamburger at McDonald's, it wouldn't have seeds. they would de-seed it. Because you can buy fruit at a fast food place, and you don't get the seeds. They cut it and prepare it in a way that you get it seedless. So I think they would do the same with meat. It would just be preparing food at home. You'll have to deal with the seeds.
Seeds and meat.
Yeah, I disagree. All right. Got a few things. All right. Let's talk about your favorite topic. I know I bring that up a lot. You have a lot of favorite topics.
Is it Walking Dead Daryl Dixon?
It's Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon.
All right.
I watched the first episode, and I'll be watching episode 2 when I get home.
Is it only the 2 episodes out right now?
So far, yeah.
Okay.
I'm into it. So far, it's pretty generic, and you can totally tell they went, oh, you know what's popular? Older man taking care of a little kid in a post-apocalypse. Let's do that. So, quick story, Daryl he's floated to France on an upside-down rowboat. Somehow. At first you think, like, how the fuck did he get from America all the way on a rowboat? But they do say he ran into he went out looking for someone or something or someplace and ran into someone, something or someplace, and it didn't agree with him, and they tossed him overboard. But at the end of the episode, it almost seems like he was on a ship that was close to France, was trying to fuck their shit up for some reason. I think they're doing weird tests on zombies. And he had to jump overboard or was thrown overboard. So he washed up on the shore because he wasn't all that far away. But it's not clear until the end of the episode. It just seems like he took a rowboat all the way to France. But he's there, he's wandering around, and he gets taken in by a nun. Here's the warrior nuns I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And in this little convent, it's just all nuns. They're priests. Who went to go do this mission, got bit. Now he's locked up in a jail cell, and they're waiting for him to come back or his spirit to be reborn or something. They don't want to fight zombies. It's not in God's plan. Even though they have an armory with all these fucking cool axes and crossbows and stuff, they have them just in case, but they don't like killing zombies. And pretty much the nun that saved him was like, we got this kid, his name is, I don't know, Messiah. They call him the new Messiah. He's the only boy. He's never seen kids before. He barely sees anybody else. And he's just a genius. He's spouting off facts and doing math. And they believe he is a good person and he will be the prophet, the Messiah for the next generation. He's the one that should lead people because he is so good. Not these wandering bandits that are trying to kill everybody. So there's these wandering bandits that are killing everybody, and they find out that there's a man who may have, they're searching for Daryl, and they are the people from the boat that he got thrown off of, and they get information. He's at this monastery, that's for monks, nunnery.
Sure.
And so all the nuns, gear up with their swords and stuff, and of course the guys come in and just start blasting all these nuns, and they kill a bunch of guys, and the main dude goes away and goes back to his boss, and Daryl was like, I'm not taking this kid anywhere, that's not for me. He's like, well, it's dangerous out there. If you want to get to a dock to get back home, you're gonna have to take me and the kid to one of our safe havens, and yada yada yada. Okay, I will take care of your kid. And then he does it, I'm assuming, for the rest of the season.
How much time have you spent with the kid? Like, does the kid does the kid seem annoying or cool or
fine.
Adorable? Or
no, he's not adorable. He's just kind of polite and just knows a bit more than he should. Like they're talking about, how many people were in France before all this, and how many people are probably left, and how many generations will it take to repopulate that? And
so the big dumb Harley motorcycle guy is gonna learn some book stuff, and he's gonna teach that
the kid how to kill,
how to be a badass, and be a man.
And the nun will be like, oh, no, don't teach him that stuff. No, actually, she'll be like, you need to teach him that stuff. If he's going to survive and lead the human race, he needs to learn how to fight. So they're going to hit the road, and on the preview for, later on this season, seems like they run into a ton of different camps of survivors just trying to make it. It seems pretty generic.
Was there a line from the bad guys or something where they attack the nunnery, and there's one nun, and it's like, how could you do this in God's house or something? And he was like, God doesn't live here. God doesn't live anywhere anymore. Pow, 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 pow. Anything
No,
like that?
no, no,
Oh.
no. It's just more, hey, where's that guy? Well, we're coming in and killing all of you if you don't give us the guy. They didn't even know the kid was there, and they were going to take it like, oh, he's going to be part of our guri. I think that's like what they're called.
Or, oh, was there a part where the nuns, they're looking over the wall very Monty Python like or whatever, and they're just like, hey, you can't come in here. And they're like, we're looking for this Daryl Dixon guy. Have you seen him? And they're just like, oh yeah, I think he's over in Nunya. Nunya? Yeah, Nunya business.
No, they do not. And that's two Nunya business jokes we've done in like the last 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when we were talking about before the nun coming out. Yeah.
Low hanging fruit with bones.
Bringing it back. So the only one new thing that I've noticed so far is there's a new type of zombie. We've gotten to a new level, so the zombies got to upgrade as well. These are like acid burn zombies. If they just touch you, they burn you. They're not like constantly melting, but it's almost as if they're radioactive. But they've done radioactive zombies before in Fear of the Walking Dead. I don't know why they're acid burny, but they are. So
I was hoping you were going to say something like they have chainsaw arms now.
They can fly now.
Flying nuns, flying zombies.
Yeah, there's something there. But no, it makes sense. Like, I could see if they had zombies that actually puked up acid. They'd eat someone, they puke up, and that's how they're getting through walls so easily. They're not knocking them down. They're just, like, burning them. And they may do that. Like, they're up against a chain link fence and just touching it will burn it. But right now, it just seems like Daryl got his arm grabbed by one and got burned to shit. So yeah, as all Walking Dead, I'll keep watching it.
All right, hit me with Ahsoka because I know you want to talk about it.
Oh shit, I did not even think of it. Yeah, Ahsoka episode 5, pretty great. Probably going to be one of the biggest fan favorite episodes because Anakin's in it. Ahsoka has died and fallen off a cliff, and she's in the ocean. And is talking to Anakin on the like space time travel bridge, which you may not know because it's from a Clone Wars thing. There's time travel in Star Wars. Did you know that? In Clone Wars, there's like little portals and it kind of looks like Tron. It's all black and white and light bridges. And someone like went into a portal and like grabbed someone out of the way and saved them from earlier in the season. Yeah. I don't think they should add time travel in. They don't do it in this, but they're on the bridge, and it's just Anakin going like, "Hey, do you want to live? Do you want to die? The choice is up to you. I trained you to be a warrior, so I'm going to come after you." And they fight, and they flash back into previous versions. So you get to see young Ahsoka and young Anakin. People were talking shit on the de-aging of Hayden Christensen. I thought it looked great. And then they have fights, and young Ahsoka is really good, and you get to see her evolve from, like, I thought it was going to be more as a Jedi than just a warrior, and it's like, it's war times, this is what I can teach you. I passed down as much information from my teachers, but you need to be a warrior now, because that's what the Jedi need. And then, she wants to do the big fight, and so she fights for her life, and she's still alive, and it's pretty good. I hate... Oh, what's her fucking name? Purple-haired chick. What the fuck is that? So good. I can't even remember her name. But the one who's going after, she wants to get reunited with her love, who is the guy that is with Thrawn. And so she's constantly like, they go, hey, purple-haired lady, don't take this thing off the ship. It's really important. First thing she does, takes the thing off the ship. Bad guys attack her and get the thing. Okay, I know you really want to get this guy back, so can I trust you that you'll do the right thing? Yep, I'll do the right thing. She has a chance to blow up the map so no one could get to Thrawn and is lost, or she could give it over to the bad guys and she gets to go and visit Ezra and get her love back. So what does she do? She gives it to the bad guys. She's just doing every wrong thing. And I know in her mind it feels justified, but you are just a liar. You keep saying that people could trust you, and then you don't follow through, all because your emotions. You suck. You're the worst. I hope you run to Ezra slow-mo and someone just shoots her down with a laser, and she doesn't get what she wanted, but she'll get what she deserves.
Have we seen Ezra yet?
Just in a hologram. Like she had a little disc, and it was like
So
a.
I mean, he's been cast. Then
Oh
like,
yeah,
we know what the
it's a
actor. Okay.
human. Yeah, it's a dude. Yeah. But yeah, Ahsoka. It's fun. I'm liking it,
Would you?
except for episode 2, which I didn't bring up. Like they do a outside a spaceship sort of thing, and Ahsoka's in a spacesuit. We've never seen a spacesuit in Star Wars. It's either a breathable atmosphere or they're in a ship. The only time out in space is when Leia was blown out and then flew back in. So it was really weird seeing a spacesuit, and especially since her head is so odd shaped and the helmet is shaped exactly like it. It's not. I mean, if it was a big dome, it would be it would be like Black Manta and Aquaman. It'd be so huge.
That'd be really funny.
But no, it's form fitting, and she does it like she's fighting a fucking TIE fighter on a ship with her lightsaber. The bad Sith lady is coming right at her, shooting at her, but she's able to do like a little 0G flip and cut something. Like it's a ship that was stalled. It had no power and it had 2 enemy fighters barreling down. They could have blown them away from so far, but they had to get real close enough lightsaber distance for her to be able to do a little flippy and cut something. It's ridiculous. It's so fucking stupid. But that was like my least favorite episode, and it's getting better.
So would you say it's Andor than this, or where does this?
Oh,
fall?
Andor's number 1. Will probably not be beaten until Andor season 2.
Oh.
There's no better Star Wars thing than Andor. Than this.
I assumed that was going to be your answer, but then then this got it. So this is number 2,
Yeah.
Mandalorian 3, and there's no other Star Wars shows, right?
Obi-Wan,
and
then you have your Clone Wars Bad Batch, and
we're not counting those. I'm trying to talk about New Age.
Yeah, new live action Star Wars. Oh, Book of Boba Fett as well, which is way at the bottom. But this is good. This is better than a lot of Star Wars, and I'm enjoying it.
Alrighty.
So I did watch a horror movie called Last Shift. I'm not going to really talk about it. Just, cop's first day on the job has to watch a police precinct on its last day of being open because the new precinct opened. And so it's a shit job. They give it to the newbie. And spooky things start happening. There was a cult who killed a bunch of young girls, and her dad, who was also a cop, and another cop in that police station, like a year ago. It's what made her really want to become a cop because her dad got killed. It would be a little weird that she's guarding the place where her dad died. That seems a little fucked up. And she got the
job within a year of this awful thing happening?
Yeah, like he died, she went into training and became a cop, and this is her first day on the job.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
I'll buy it.
Yeah. Spooky things happen. It's not bad. I bet if you saw the cover, you'd be like, I've seen it before. It looks like a dude from Slipknot with a big pentagram carved into his face. Okay. The makeup could be a little bit better and would make this a little more realistic, but it's done cheaply. You can tell like they had access to an abandoned police station and they ran with it. It's a lot of running up and down the same hallway, but has some pretty good spooks in it. Some scary googly mooglies. It's not bad. I enjoyed it, but I didn't want to talk.
Are those official horror terms?
Yes, they are.
Spoogly googlies or whatever you said.
Yes, I don't even know what I said. Spoogly googlies. That sounds good. But after we watched that, my roommate wanted a list of Halloween movies to watch, or scary movies for Halloween. They didn't have to
Halloween 2, Halloween 3,
Trick or Treat, which we were going to watch Trick or Treat, but it's not streaming anymore.
Oh, okay.
Bastards. So I was just going through Tubi's list of horror movies and just adding things to my list and giving her a little explanation and just adding a ton. And I actually made it to the bottom of their horror list, and it took a long time. And I was just in horror, and they have a million categories. I love Tubi. They have everything. 75% of it is absolute trash. Like you have your Sharkensteins and Sharktopus versus Pterodactyl Toilet. I don't know. It's a Flintstones movie. But
I can see the pterodactyl and the...
It uses its wings to wipe, and it goes... It's a living. So I came across Cocaine Shark. I know we talked about it before. No cocaine in that movie. It's Sharkmen and shark monsters. Wasn't going to watch that. But I found another cocaine movie called Cocaine Cougar. It is 51 minutes, not even feature length. And
she's 51 years of age.
You know, I would not be... There's some heavily... plastic surgery women who probably are ex-porn stars or they've been in horror movies all their lives and they just keep fucking with their face to maintain youth. And
Okay, so is this a cougar or is this
well,
oh,
a real animal.
okay? So just based on your reaction, it's an older woman who can turn it into a cougar.
No, no,
Oh,
actually
okay.
would have been interesting. This
Oh,
is not that
all
movie.
right. Damn it.
It's about a real animal cougar. Okay. And they start with like a news brief, and it's like, breaking news, this laboratory did a bunch of weird cocaine experiments on cougars, and it got out. Well, back to you, Mitch. It's like the most simple plot. And it's funny because they shoot both of those anchors. They had to have shot on different days and then compiled the footage together. But they sat them too close, so their eye lines don't match up. It's really silly. So this cougar is addicted to cocaine. It had cocaine experiments done. It breaks out, and the person in charge is like, "Well, it's probably coming down. It should be easy to catch. We just sure hope it doesn't get any more cocaine." Sure enough, there's a drug deal that's going on. The cougar eats the dude, eats what's in the backpack, and now he's high again. This movie is so cheap and lazy. This director, he has like 30 credits just for 2021. It's all dumb
Jeez.
shit like this. It would be like Nazi street hookers, and then like Nazi hookers in the Amazon, Nazi Amazons in Antarctica versus the spider beast. It's all just like total garbage that he can just use like simply bought CG assets of, okay, I have a CG asset of a cougar. It walks and puts its head down to eat. We could put that on any footage and it will look like this cougar's eating everyone. And then we add a little CG blood. It'll be great. But they use the same animation for so many of these deaths. If we get to see it, most of the time it's just the camera running up to the person and they go, ah, and then go to the next scene.
Wait, what is this again?
Wow, wow.
God.
And it's great because someone's laying on the ground and it's walking at them, but the rate that the camera is pushing and then the CG asset is moving are at different speeds. So it's like moonwalking forward and sliding across the ground and then eats people. It's great. So the cougar's on cocaine and it's killing people randomly. And I guess it makes sense that we see these random ass people just doing whatever they were doing. There's a woman just getting like a photo shoot done, and then she gets eaten. And then there's a couple who are making breakfast and they're arguing, and then they get eaten. And then there's people at an amusement park and they go to have a picnic and they get eaten, which is fine. But you spend like 3 or 4 minutes at the photo shoot. The woman's posing, rockin' music is playing, they're taking pictures, and it just goes on and on and on, only for her to walk out of the studio and go, is that a cougar? And then on to the next set of people. Over and over and over
And all
again.
these people have no connection or
No connection. Very, very loose connection. The best use they have, okay, so they had 2 CG assets. One of tiger walking,
Cougar.
and then I'm sorry, yeah, cougar, tiger walking and eating, and then running really fast. So there's a guy who sees it running down the street, and he jumps into his car and he starts driving, and this cougar is chasing after him, and it's just like it's bobbling so fast. It looks like a bobblehead on the back of a truck. And it's just shaking. They can't like smooth it out. It does not look like it's running after anything. And the guy's driving as fast as he can, and he's screaming, looking into his rear view mirror. And like I'm saying, hit the brakes. Let this thing fucking slam into the back of you, and it'll break its neck. Break his neck. But what does he do? Drives headfirst into a brick wall and dies. That's the answer you do. You don't turn, you don't slow down, do anything, you just automatically kill yourself.
The wall was like
Yeah, just slid out into the road. It's worth watching just for that scene. It was so funny. We were dying. But we think this movie was made because one, they had that. They had a couple of friends and locations they can shoot at. And someone, probably him, has a rockin' garage band and they want to show off how fucking sweet their music is. And it's all just really heavy guitar. And this movie takes 6 whole minutes of like intro before the first person says anything, which is like the news people talking.
ooh,
And
it's like there will be blood.
it's just these shots of a field at sunset, but they didn't shoot at sunset, so they'll just like do some color grading and put an orange filter on everything. So everything's a little kind of neon and terrible looking. And then we get like Cougar vision, and it's just like pink. And it's just it's like they don't even put like waviness or anything. It's just like red vision, and its head is just like bobbling back and forth, going for like 3 minutes. It's just going back and forth, and it's not moving fast like a cougar would. It's walking like a man is holding a camera down low and trying to get at that angle. And then it ends with this guy they hired to kill the cougar looking in a mirror and going like, "I'll get you, cocaine cougar!" Ah! And then credits. And then the credits are also like 8 minutes of like, oh, we got to highlight the actor and their name and show like a 2-second clip of the scene you remember them from. So with the intro and the outro and how much of the bullshit in between all the scenes, this is like an 8-minute movie, like 8 minutes of stuff happening, and everything else is just filler. It's ridiculous. Obviously, it gets an F. It's not a real movie, real shit. But I had a good time. Like if I watched it by myself, it'd be the worst thing in the world. But watching it with someone and just cracking up the whole time, it's totally worth your time. That's a glowing recommendation of Cocaine Cougar.
You know, I'm surprised they haven't. I mean, maybe they have, and I've just missed it. I'm surprised there hasn't been a movie called Cougars about, because you have Girls Trip, which is kind of what that is, and then you have movies like 80 for Brady, where we're really always we're into football.
Yeah.
It's like, how hasn't there been a movie where it's, recently divorced women, or, I guess that would be Sex and the City. Is that Sex and the City is just cougars?
But they weren't old at that time. They're old now.
They're old now.
Yeah.
But why isn't there like a fun sex comedy about old women just trying to bang young dudes?
There's gotta be. I would think.
And then they realize, oh, well, these young guys aren't any good, and they, find men or other women. It doesn't have to be men.
Yeah.
Or they're like, or there's like one of them does date a 20-year-old because he is like up to her, whatever.
You'd have like the Golden Girls things of like the sweet one, the slutty one, the mean one, and they're all going after the young people. One loves it because they sure know how to please a lady, and one wants more intimacy, and young guys don't give that. And
one's like the not ugly one, but the nerdy one or whatever, and she's like, I don't want to do this, and then they're like, no, girl, we're taking you out.
Her husband died like when she was 30, and she never got back into the game. And that's why they're bringing all their friends out, because they got to get Doris laid.
Yeah.
And she's hesitant because like, oh my God, I'm not in shape anymore. These young people, they're going to make fun of like my lady bits and stuff. And like, no, we're going to Cancun. These boys will do it with anyone.
Yeah. And then you have a fun scene where they go out in the town, and this boy's like, let's go back to this party. And they're all just like, they've been drinking. They're like, oh yeah, we'll go have fun. And then you have the drug scene that they all do drugs.
Of course,
and the one girl who doesn't want to be there first, like, oh, I did heroin or whatever. You did heroin. We thought it was weed. And it's like, oh.
How you mix those up? Oh, you shoot up the weed, okie dokie.
That's a small yeah. You just have like those kind of. I'm surprised that movie doesn't exist.
I used to smoke a joint once in a while when I was young, and now they got all these vapes and these dabs. I guess they got heroin weed now. Yeah, that's funny. It totally writes itself.
Yeah, just a fun sex comedy about older women who are going after young men.
Yeah, I like it. Steve, your shitty hack writing wins again.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, so. Main topic, A Haunting in Venice. I wanted to watch Death on the Nile before, didn't get a chance, so I watched it afterwards. Did watch Death on the Nile. I was wrong when I asked, like, oh, isn't it the wife that kills him? No, the wife dies. Gal Gadot dies. She's the body. I think just having, like, the information of, oh, I thought the husband died and the wife killed her, so maybe it's the wife died and the husband killed her. And since that was in my mind already, I was able to piece it together real quick. That was not a hard mystery to solve. And it's not very good. I gave it a C-. It's
Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile, yeah. It's so kind of by the book. It has a lot more killing in it, though. It's not just the one body. Multiple people die. Yeah, and when you have this boat and every wall is like a window or a slotted door that you can see through. How does anybody get away with anything? You could just see into everybody's room
Right.
at all time. And his plan is kind of ridiculous of having paint pretend to be blood on his leg, then go run, shoot his wife, then run back and shoot himself and reload a bullet. I don't know. It's kind of dumb. And it's funny watching this movie filled with all these like problematic actors. Like yeah, Letitia Wright, was an anti-vaxxer. Army Hammer, cannibal. Um, like Gal Gadot's not canceled or anything, but she's gotten a lot of shit for the Snow White stuff. More her co-star who was playing Snow White, the West Side Story
Yeah.
girl. She's not going to have much of a career. She better hope Songbird Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is a huge hit because she's not going to work any longer. But Gal Gadot was there with her, kind of egging her on. And then the singing the Imagine song during COVID with all the rich people.
Sure,
Yeah,
okay.
I feel bad for her because she was the first one. So if anybody watches it, they automatically see her. And then Russell Brand, who has always had kind of like a shitty past, new allegations like 2 days ago of like 4 rape allegations. So it's just a movie filled with awful people and just hoping that they all die.
What did Kenneth Branagh do? Jeez.
I don't know. But it was nice seeing a backstory for him, being in the war and like using his smarts to help him advance and then getting like shrapnel to the face. And that's why he grows his mustache to hide his horrible scar, which you can't see in either of the other
forgot
movies.
all about that.
Yeah. Which is funny. If you have scar tissue like that, I don't think hair grows through it. So his mustache, maybe that's why it is so weird looking, because it's growing from all these weird angles. And it's like, we're going to give you this double propeller look.
It reminds me of that Family Guy joke with Stewie, and he's like, "Oh, I got to go to trudge the river with hair lip Steve or whatever."
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, "Steve, you ever think about growing a mustache?"
Yeah.
You know.
And like, they could, except where the hair lip is. You would still see, you would have to make a very fluffy mustache to cover that, and you comb it over. But all in all, not a great movie. Definitely Murder on the Orient Express is better than Death on the Nile. It's cheap. Didn't love
Was
it.
Murder on the Orient Express only one murder, since I didn't see that one?
It is one murder. It's Johnny Depp. And so...
I figured Johnny Depp was the one who died. I didn't.
Yeah. And, if anyone's going to die, like, I don't think that... It's a person you put in a role where the audience all goes like, yeah, okay, I could understand why you'd want to kill him. Johnny Depp's not a great dude. So, A Haunting in Venice. Written and directed by Kenneth Branagh. Starring a ton of people.
Sure.
We got, Tina Fey.
I got you right here.
Yeah, I don't know any of it.
Well, it wasn't written by Kenneth Branagh. It was written by Michael Green.
That's right.
And technically Agatha Christie. Kenneth Branagh returns as Hercule Poirot. I don't know. Poirot. We have Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Dornan, Tina Fey, other people from stuff, but those are the most recognizable names.
What's her name? Kelly something as the mom?
Kelly Riley.
Yeah.
I think her big credit right now, she's on Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Is that her? Yep.
Yeah. She was also in Eden Lake, a movie I brought up a couple months ago, probably. She's good. I like her. 2 things. First off, did you know who did it? Were you able to pick the killer?
I will say it was the last person I expected.
Okay.
Yeah. Mainly because I think the movie ignores her for the most part, and I just kind of forgot.
Yeah, let's just spoilers.
Sorry, I should have missed it. Yeah.
It's the mom. It's what did you say?
Kelly Riley.
Kelly Riley.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seemed like every other character was more interesting, and they all had, like, they never even bothered to talk about the mom.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously she was there throughout the whole movie, and she was adding exposition and why. So I was kind of like, oh, I probably should have saw that coming, just from like, of course it's the last person you expect.
Yeah.
But I just totally forgot about it. I was like, oh, because I had my own theories about other people, and it's got to be this person. And so I was wrong.
Well, let's talk these theories, because I told my roommate when we saw it, I want you to tell me who you think it is, and I'll do the same. And because there wasn't a ton of people in this theater, and so we were kind of talking through it. My knee-jerk guess was it's the doctor. It's, what was his name?
Jamie Dornan.
Jamie Dornan. I figured, oh, he was in a relationship with the daughter that was a big no-no, and so he killed her and threw her out the window. That was my guess. My roommate says it's Tina Fey, and all the things started pointing to her, and it was like, yeah, I think it is, but how could that be? Why would she kill this little girl? And then it all made sense. Okay, Tina Fey is part of the spookiness of the seance, but she's not part of the murder. So like she was kind of right on that. Tina Fey was involved to some degree. Didn't see the bodyguard being part of it.
Yeah.
But I did question when he was like, "Oh, Monsieur Perrault, you have a visitor." I don't think he was French, but and it's like this whole time he's like pushing people into the canal to let Hercule be alone. And it's like, okay, and then some rando knocks on the door and just says, I'm a friend.
I have an apple.
Yeah.
Give him this.
So that should have been the first clue, but that's all hindsight. And then when the chef, the former fiance of the victim, was using the honey, and I was like, this is like the fourth fucking time they brought up honey.
Well, see,
it's poison.
We'll get to this in a minute. I guess we should say what the movie's about.
Yeah, fuck them. They know. There's a haunting in Venice. Which will bring me to another point, but finish your thought.
So this is the problem I had with... no, I haven't seen Murder on the Orient Express. I don't know if it had this kind of thing. There's always one thing that just seems... Oh, they keep bringing that back, or they made a point to mention this. And if you watch mystery movies or whatever... You can't not give the audience information.
Yeah.
Because part of the fun is they want to figure it out for themselves. So in Death on the Nile, the second the red paint's missing. Okay, so they grab the red paint and it's fake blood, so it's got to be Armie Hammer. I don't know if he's the one who killed it, but he's doing something with that because it just had to be that. So I knew he was involved very quickly. And then they just kept talking about the honey. We grew honey, the bees up on this hidden garden up top. And, I had honey in the tea or whatever.
And then, we found your honey in the linen closet.
Yeah, it's like, then he put the honey, they smashed the honey jar and there's honey on his hands.
And there's
like
bees in the basement inside a corpse or something? What was that?
We'll talk about it. So the fact they kept bringing up honey, honey was involved in the death of her somehow.
Yeah, and I instantly made the connection. It was just like, oh yeah, he drank the tea as well.
Yeah.
That's why he's seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
And then of course after I was like, even though when he comes down, there's going to be a moment of maybe I did see something. I fucking hate that shit. So my other question is, I hate this title, and I can't think of a better one because A Haunting in Venice sounds like The Haunting in Connecticut, The Haunting of Marley Hartley. There's a lot of Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting. There's just a lot of those. And I can see people just seeing this name and go, oh, it's just another one of those. And not knowing that it's part of this kind of bigger character story. Because the original it's based off of is called A Halloween Story. So even, like, I've heard of Murder on the Orient Express. I've heard 10 Little Indians and Then There Were None. And then there were one. What other Agatha Christie stories? This, they had to change it, and I think it's for the worse. But I don't know. What do you call it?
I think this was a missed opportunity, and not to. I mean, it kind of sucks because you don't want to necessarily do the thing where we got to make sure it's got name recognition. So this is the Hunger Games Mockingjay, when really it's just. The book was just called Mockingjay. Yeah. But they have to know it's part of the Hunger Games franchise. Sure. So if you have the Murder on the Orient Express, the second one isn't Death on the Nile, it's Murder on the Nile. Yeah. And then this one is
in Venice.
A Murder in Venice. And so it's the Murder Trilogy. And it fits in the Agatha Christie thing.
Yeah, but...
if you're changing it from Halloween Story to Now, you do A Haunting in Venice because you're trying to get that horror... fan franchise. This is a ghost story thing. I want to see that because I want to be scared. That's the only reason for it, I think. I think it's a solid title. Do I think it fits this movie? Technically, sure. Yeah. But not in the way I think... if you walked up to the theater and you weren't sure what you were going to see that day, it's like, let's go see a movie. And you just saw A Haunting in Venice and knew nothing about it. That's got to be scary. Let's go see that.
It's a poltergeist.
Yeah, but it's not a horror movie, really.
No. Yeah. So, I would be a little disappointed because I'd be expecting something else. And I think you are right. It should have been a murder for all of them.
A murder.
But in the books, I don't know all of the Hercule Poirot's books. Some of them may not be murders. Some may be suicides.
Sure.
You may have other deaths that don't always have a murderer. So I could see them not wanting to pigeonhole themselves.
Of course, yeah.
So, and it does kind of work. So you go, if you're murdered, then you die, and then you can haunt. It's kind of a progression.
Oh, I like that.
So, but what's after that? Resurrection, or rebirth? I'm not sure. But anywho, I think they had a hard choice to make, because you don't want to call it Hercule Poirot's A Haunting in Venice, because people go, I don't know those words. You see those words written out, you do not know how to pronounce them.
Can I get the ticket to the Hercules Pirouette movie?
Exactly. So yeah, they just gotta do their best, and the next one will, I don't know, where do you take them? Space?
Sure.
Anywho, all right, so let's talk about it. You gave a quick synopsis, right? Did you?
No, that's why I said let's talk. Let's say what this movie's about, and you said fuck them.
Yeah. You were saying the cast. Okay, so Steve, what's this movie all about?
This movie is about Hercule Poirot, if I said that correctly, who is a world-famous detective. He's the best detective in the world, who solved many difficult cases, but he's retired. Yep. He's living in Venice, just minding his own business. People keep coming up to him, they're like, hey man, there's this plot to kill me, you need to help me, you're the only one who can figure this thing out. And he's just like,
I got gardening and pastries to eat, fuck off.
Just living a simple life quietly in post-war World War II Venice.
I think it was 47 or 49.
Yeah. And then Tina Fey, an old colleague, sort of, who writes mystery novels, very Agatha Christie-esque kind of books, is like, hey, I'm going to go to this seance tonight. You should really come. It'll be fun. And I need you there just to disprove this medium. This medium claims to be the real thing. I've disproved a ton of mediums. This one, I can't. Let's see if you can. And
she's like, making me a believer.
She's making me a believer. And he's like, I don't really give a shit about this, but I'll go with you as a favor to a friend kind of thing. And then he goes. He figures out the seance is a sham pretty quickly.
Which I loved. It reminded me of a Glass Onion. Just they sit down to do their murder mystery, and he just solves it instantly. Which you can tell Benoit Blanc is totally based off this detective character.
And then, so after this seance is disproven, the seance is for the dead daughter of the woman who owns this palazzo, which used to be an orphanage, which everyone says is haunted by the children of this place. But her daughter committed suicide a year ago, and she wants to talk to her, so they have a seance to try and figure out who it is, and then an actual murder happens, and it's up to Hercule Poirot to figure out who in this cast of characters could have killed the medium. And then hilarity ensues.
It always does. And I love it. It does the same thing in Death on the Nile. It does it early in this one and later in that, where after there's a murder, he instantly runs to the door and just locks everybody in and goes, someone in here's a murderer. So he shows up, disproves it. The medium is Michelle Yeoh. She's got two little. They say they're siblings, I guess.
Yeah, their vibe was weird, and they didn't look like siblings.
Maybe Pornhub siblings, but not real world siblings.
But let's talk about he goes to this party. It's a Halloween party for children.
Yep.
Where they tell a story of spooky whatever in this orphanage. And I always really like the old-timey puppets on a sheet kind of thing.
Shadow puppets. It's not hands, it's just like figures on a stick. Yeah, it's just all silhouettes.
Just the way they do the silhouettes sometimes, like, that's a really cool shot. Like, I'm always impressed by that.
There's a Bob's Burgers episode where Louise does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
That is a really good episode. So anyway, more shadow puppet movies, please. And he's at this party, and then he's like learning all the information about the daughter and the expectation of the seance. And I gotta say, more than typical horror movies, this movie made me jump quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, I thought the jump...
like the door slamming and stuff?
There was just a lot of loud like the chandelier dropping or like the light bulb exploding or the door. Like it wasn't anything scary. It was just it was
startling.
It was startling.
Yeah.
And so I thought like, oh, that's pretty good. No, was it scary? No. But did it make me jump more than most horror movies?
Yeah.
And then when it got to the horror elements, I didn't give a fuck about those. But anyway,
maybe ghost children here.
What did you think about the seance?
It was cool. I knew it was bullshit when the typewriter was only doing like one letter, and then they pull the whole sheet out. M for monstrous, like Y for yes, and like that seems like a waste of paper. But I knew something was up with that. But it was. I like that it was a typewriter and not a Ouija board. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like bones or blood. It was different. But it's all a big sham. But I like how committed she was to like dragging her face and like almost looked like she was going to pull her eyeball out. Up until the very end, you never hear her once say like, "Yeah, I'm a big phony." She gets killed before any of that happens. And
yeah, but you didn't really discover. See, I thought that the spinning of the chair and her doing her daughter's voice, they never explained how she did that.
No, I think that was just her acting. And a spinning chair is a spinning chair. If Tina Fey could like pull a cord to pull a door,
sure, but
she would have some like lawnmower rip cord underneath her.
It just feels like you couldn't figure out a way to justify that, so you just skipped it, or it is. We'll get to it later. It truly kind of was a supernatural thing that they also just kind of glossed over.
But I think if they did something where she went to Perot and like, I am a fraud, but what happened to me there, that was totally real.
Sure.
But she had to, maintain a face.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
Let's see. We got a doctor who has some shell shock from World War I, or was he? No, World War II.
Yeah, it's post-World War II.
Yeah, but was he in World War II? Because his son... Oh, no, he said he was looking at, like... He was writing a letter to his son while he was in the trenches, so his son was born before he was over there. So, yes, it was World War II. Yeah, he's shell-shocked. No one will hire him.
The part of the thing that you find out later is he was there at the camps. He saw the camps.
Yes. Oh, that's right. He was trying to feed the Jews.
Leonardo DiCaprio Shutter Island it,
Yeah, he feels guilty because they like overfed these starving people, and you can't do that. You got to wean them back into food, and killed a bunch of them with milk. And the horrors of war just really took to him. The only person who would hire him is Mary Riley, because her daughter is
Kelly Riley.
Yes, Mary Riley wrote. No, Mary Riley is the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movie with Julia Roberts.
What?
Yeah, it's called Mary Riley. It's bad, real bad. She's like Dr. Jekyll's assistant and is like looking through his transformation like through a keyhole and stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Julia Roberts doesn't do a lot of horror stuff, so that's kind of interesting. Anywho, since her daughter is sick with something, hires this doctor. Who else is in here?
Okay, so there's the shell-shocked doctor, or
his precocious little son. The moment he opened up his mouth and it was just like, Halloween's for children and candy is for children, and these are all just playthings. I was like, I hope he's the victim. Fuck this kid.
Yeah, the annoying child of the doctor. Not annoying and just like, what a precocious little kid. It was just, he just thinks he's kind of... He's
above it all.
Yeah, he's above it all.
Yeah. And it's all his fucking fault, too.
You have the grieving mother, you have the author of Tina Fey, you have the two assistants to Michelle Yeoh's character, who is the one who does get murdered. They're brother and sister, and they needed money to move to America because they were escaping some country.
War-torn country.
You have...
the bodyguard.
You have the
ex, who's a chef, who left her... broke off their engagement, the victim's engagement.
I remember ever hearing him say he was a chef.
Yeah, I remember he's like cooking in the kitchen, and he was going to open up a bistro in New York, and he was going to be a big deal.
I thought that he was just going to, they were just going to give him a bistro, and he was going to run it. I thought he was going to do like a manager thing. I must have not paid attention.
He was a chef. I think his last name was Baker, too. Yeah, one of those.
And then we have I think the last person we have is the...
The maid?
The maid, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the word I was
the
looking
help.
for. The help, yeah, who took care of the young daughter in her time of need, who's a believer in both
Yeah.
God and the
But
children, and
left the church.
left the church. Yeah,
Why? Don't remember.
don't remember. Yeah,
Yeah, doesn't matter.
but she's
She's
the
not
one who
important.
believes the most in all this haunting stuff.
Yeah, and the little children
Other
that are
than like
haunting
the
this
son,
place.
I guess.
The
But
son.
the doctor's son.
We already mentioned him. Precocious kid.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying he she believes the most in all this
Oh,
stuff
besides the son.
him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which that's also never explained. Is it just
we'll get to it.
okay? I mean, we can get to it now.
We're just kind of hopping on it. I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep a more linear thing.
It don't matter.
It don't matter.
But he sees the ghost, or he hears the ghost. He talks to them. They're his friends. But it's not like he's ingesting this honey all the time. Is it just because he's heard the stories and his imagination has gone wild, or are we supposed to really believe there potentially there are ghosts
I
here?
think that's the worst part of this movie is it doesn't decide is this a actual partial haunting or
Yeah.
not. And I think if you want to go down, because we already established that the honey made was essentially hallucinogenic drugs that made Kenneth Branagh's character see these ghosts that weren't there, and I was like, okay, that's how you a new way to do a ghost story,
Sure.
where you can show ghostly stuff, but it's not actually real.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but it could be, and just don't do that.
Yeah. It's supposed to, shake Perot's faith a little bit. He saw the dead body in the sky, and the mom just fell off the balcony. She wasn't pushed. She didn't slip. It looked like a ghost pulled her down, and he's supposed to kind of wrestle with that.
Like, I would have been okay if he saw, and we're just going to get to the end. So he discovers that, or he figures it out. The mom did it. Mom's just like, oh, you'll never catch me, and runs up to her daughter's room or wherever, and is on the same balcony where she fell. And then he's looking at her, and then you see the floating body of the daughter, and then her hand grabs the mom and pulls her off the balcony to where her watery grave.
Yep.
I hated that. If you wanted him to be coming down off the drugs, and it's kind of like the last hallucination he saw, and she was just floating there, I'd have been like, okay. And then when the mom hits the water and dies, and you see the daughter kind of materialize in the water and is like pulling her down, I would have been okay if you showed that, because it's like, then that's for the audience to go, you can choose to believe if this is the ghost getting the comeuppance or whatever. And then you can even have the kid kind of, like, Hercule should never have been like, I figured it out, it was all drugs, and he leaves. And then if you want to, you cut to the kid and he looks up at the window and you see like children waving at him. You maybe do that.
Sure, yeah.
If that's the story you want to tell. But I don't think Hercule should ever have kind of questioned his faith or questioned something that's beyond his understanding.
Yeah.
Because the thing, he's all logic and reason and science. And then if that idea is like, well, then it wouldn't have pushed him to open up his detective firm. Again, I don't know if you would call it a detective firm.
Agency.
His love for the mystery. I guess, but I feel like maybe you could have just justified it as like, you know what, I did miss solving crimes, I'm going to go do that. But him believing in or possibly believing in ghosts, I didn't like. The horror elements of this movie, I didn't like, because it's all the horror elements we've seen, and we've seen it done better in other stuff. It just seems like this is a director who seen horror movies and goes, okay, I'll just kind of copy some of that.
Let's have some low angles and let's tilt. Low angles and tilt. Oh, up and high in the corner and tilt. There are so many. I don't even want to call them like Dutch angles, because they're usually a little more straight on. These are just almost like security camera angles, and then you just tilt it to give it the spooky effect. I didn't love the direction of this. The set design and everything was good. I liked the house. It was adequately spooky, but I don't think it was shot very well. No. Especially with that final ghost shot. It like reaches for the mom, lightning flashes and pulls them in. I think you're right. You see the ghost, the lightning flashes, and she falls. And you could chalk it up to the lightning scared her and it made her trip, or you can think the ghost pulled her. But I don't want to see the ghost pull her.
Right. And I think the one scene that I thought, oh, this could get kind of scary, is when they discover the basement.
Yeah.
And it's very The Conjuring or whatever, or going down into this deep, dark, scary place, or there's a bunch of The Descent or As Above, So Below, whatever.
Yeah.
There's just a dark tunnel, and
Barbarian.
they're finding dead.
Yeah.
I thought that there could be some really scary stuff, but it's just over so quick. All the horror stuff just ends so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, getting trapped out. Like you had there's a storm going, and there's wood hitting the windows, and water is coming in, and there's like a corpse there that was filled with bees. Like being trapped down there would be very scary. But it's like, oh no, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the wood hit the window. That's making the big sound. All right, let's get out of here. And when I saw the bees in the corpse, and I was already thinking honey, I was like, oh, someone harvested the corpse honey, and that's what's killing them. I'm like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, especially since nobody knew how to get down here in the first place. They had to like bust open like a fake wall for the door. So I was just spitballing at that time. It's like, okay, it was the honey. It's just not children's corpse honey.
Yeah. Did any of the horror stuff work for you at all?
I thought it was fine.
Did the mystery work for you?
Well, the mystery I thought was a lot better than the mystery of Death on the Nile. But was able to figure it out. They're not that hard of mysteries. So I had like this. I had Search Party season 2. I'm 2 for 2 on my mysteries. I'm doing great. I know Poker Face was earlier this year. But that doesn't count. That is like a detective story, but you already know the answer, and you're just watching our main person figure it out. So you can't really take any credit on those. But I thought it was good enough for me to say, I'll watch more of this character doing more crime solving. I want him to see more murders. What kind of creative shit can they do? Where are they going to take him? But it wasn't so special or interesting or different, especially when the answer is just what's Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where the parents keep their kids sick because they don't want their kid to leave. You've seen it before. There wasn't anything all that inventive with this, except that the kid figured out what the mom was doing and baited her into giving him money. Otherwise, he would.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
He would tell everybody, but then doesn't include his father in this conversation and be like, "Dad, I figured out why she died, and this is what's happening. And because of all this, his dad gets killed. And now
he doesn't even
seem all that sad about it.
Yeah, he did cry a little bit, but then it was kind of like, oh, wait, there's a mystery still happening? I guess we should figure that out. That's more important than my dead dad.
Yeah, and the housekeeper who's kind of nice, well, now that I have this huge bag of money, let's just go to America or wherever the fuck they were going. He was just totally cool to get out from underneath that dank palazzo.
Yeah, there was an additional mystery on top of the main bee story.
Oh, honey and bees.
Thank you.
But yeah, this little shit got everyone killed. Didn't need to happen.
Yeah. But then, I think his reasoning for not really maybe this wasn't really his reasoning, but it kind of seems like he wasn't really that upset because, anyone who dies here doesn't actually die here. It becomes part of the house.
Yeah.
But then that's the point he should have looked up in the window and saw his dad waving.
Yeah. Or he would be like, now that I have the money, I'm gonna buy the house. I'll do the renovations.
Yeah, it would have been like a Haunting in Hill House thing because all the ghosts live there.
But he's just like, no, my dad will live here forever. Bye. I took all the money and now I'm leaving.
It's just a giant house gravestone or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. And I think the city of Venice was kind of wasted. And I know it's about this haunted house, but Venice is such an interesting looking city.
Yeah.
And it's a city where you take boats everywhere.
Yeah.
And you just don't really get to see any of it or do anything interesting in it. I don't know, I would have liked to explore the city more. But that's not really... That's just me wanting to be a traveler.
If there was the killer's on the run and they're running from rooftop to rooftop in the rain, that makes sense, but we weren't going to get any of that.
Yeah. So now that you've seen all three of the murder trilogy, we'll call it, is it Orient, this, and then Death on Nile?
Well, the problem with Orient Express is I just knew that story. I read the book.
Okay.
So I knew going in. So there wasn't anything for me to figure out. So that killed a little bit of it for me. And this one I was very excited for because how do you do a is it ghost, not ghosts, and how do you prove that wrong? So I would say maybe this one's my favorite.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, maybe. It's been a while since I've seen the first, but definitely Nile is third. Yeah.
I will say, I think what I appreciate about it is how small it is and how
Yeah.
kind of simple it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they don't really make these kinds of movies anymore.
Not nearly as often as they used to.
And it kind of does feel like a movie that's from the 80s or something
Yeah.
like that, which I kind of dig. That being said, there's probably a reason not many of these movies exist because this movie's just fine. We've seen it done a million times and probably better quite a
Yeah.
few times. It's just perfectly for its genre and its execution. It's very just middle of the road across the board. Um, I wish I liked Hercule more.
Mm-hmm.
I like
He's a prick in Nile. He's like really obnoxious.
I like his kind. I like how kind of fun of a weirdo he is.
Yeah.
And I like seeing people who are so good at their job be good at their job. So him solving crimes, I'm really into when he's like on his shit.
Yeah.
But when he's just like sipping tiny cups of tea and just like, oh, I like little pastry cakes. It's like I don't care. I wish you were more cool and fun. Like that's why I like Benoit Blanc because he's kind of like you're all fucking idiots.
Yeah.
But he's got a foghorn leghorn accent that kind of makes it fun.
Yeah. There's something with this sort of character where they kind of have to be a little bit arrogant. They have to know that they are the best of the best. Otherwise, they're not going to be in this field. But shit. You know what? You know what they should do with the echoes and stuff? That should be a charging thing. Why can't you put your phone on top of it and have it charge? And therefore, you have it close to you at all times, and it's not tucked away in a back room or something. Oh, this is in the living room, and it's my charger, and it's boom, listening to you the whole time, pulling your data straight from the phone.
There you go.
Echo, steal this idea.
I don't know that.
Sure.
That's right,
Sure
you don't, because it's my idea. Yeah, that's right, go to bed. Anywho, back to the movie. I think I initially gave this a B- because I think it's better than your average movie, but it's not great.
Who would you say is the worst in this movie?
It's hard to say the young boy because he's a child, and you kind of have to forgive those actors. I think assistant girl is hamming it up a bit much. But I would say probably Tina Fey.
Thank you.
Because she's a comedic actress, so her doing this voice sounds like she's doing an impression of someone from this time and is going to make like a modern reference or a fart joke or something. I don't buy Tina Fey coming from this time period.
Yeah, I wouldn't say she did a bad job or anything. It just maybe it was the fact that she was American, everyone else was not, or the fact that it was Tina Fey, or whatever it was. Maybe a combination of a bunch of things. She just felt so out of place in this movie to me. Anytime she spoke, I just kind of thought, I can't tell if you're being a bad actress in this, or it's just a weird choice. I don't know. It just I really didn't care for her in this movie, and I like Tina Fey just about everything.
Yeah.
But everything else she's done has been comedy
and modern.
Yeah, where this is just not. And so that kind of bummed me out because it's like, oh, it's kind of cool to see Tina Fey do something different. It's like, oh, well, maybe Tina Fey can't do something different.
Yeah. And now, if everybody else, if Will Ferrell was Benoit Blanc, and you had all these other famous comedians doing these roles, trying to play it straight but a little cheeky, it would have been perfect. She would have been great in that role.
Yeah.
But for a very straightforward, serious movie, didn't quite work.
I didn't see the Will Ferrell Sherlock Holmes movie.
Holmes and Watson.
Holmes and Watson, yeah. But if you told me Tina Fey was whatever the...
Mary Watson?
Mary Watson, yeah. It's like, oh, that would have fit perfectly.
Yeah.
She would have worked in that. Yeah, I think she could do that kind of role.
Oh, speaking of Mary Watson, you know who plays Mary Watson?
Emily Watson.
No. Kelly Riley.
Or Emma Watson, that's what I meant.
Kelly Riley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All comes around.
Yeah. Good for Kelly Riley getting all that work.
She does. Yeah. Looking at her IMDb, it's like, oh yeah. And she's in a lot of stuff I haven't seen, but she has one of those faces where you go like, that's not Bryce Dallas Howard. That's not Christina Hendricks. That's not Jessica Chastain. It's the fourth one. It's that redhead with the weird face. Like, she could play classy and trashy. She's got a lot of range. I really like her. Anything else about this? Yeah, where do you want to take Benoit next? Like, he's been in the desert. He's been on a train in a snowy mountain. Spooky haunted Venice. Do you take him to, like, the Amazon? And they go, oh, there's some ooga booga in the jungle that's killing people. And he's like, no, it's actually these farmers who are trying to cut down your trees. Or you take him to Australia.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if he's done a snowy train and a watery haunted house and
hot desert
and a hot desert, you kind of have to either go rainforest or just the fucking middle of the ocean.
Yeah, or just maybe in the city. You just take him to New York.
Or you know what? I was gonna say he should do a mystery at the Vatican, but that's what Angels and Demons is.
Yeah. I was like, at first I was thinking take him to Antarctica and then just remake The Thing.
I knew you were.
But Benoit Blanc is there, and he'd instantly just been like, your eye color is different, so you're The Thing.
You're so good at sound effects.
Yeah, jungle, city, that's about it.
I mean, I would care far less about the location and the setting as long as the mystery itself was good and interesting, and then an interesting cast of characters with good actors in them. Because I think you could save any movie regardless of where setting is the least important of these movies.
Yeah. I say New Orleans, so you get the bayou, you get voodoo, so you can do something still in the horror vein. But I think with kooky cast of characters, I don't know. If you're going to take it to America, maybe New Orleans would be good.
Oh, and then one of those characters is an ancestor to Benoit Blanc.
Oh, yeah.
Just as like a fun little crossover thing.
Yeah.
And maybe
he looks up to Perot and like, I want to be
Benoit
like him.
Blanc is just like, my grandfather told me stories about when he met Hercule Poirot, and that really got me into solving crimes and mysteries.
I read all those books by Tina Fey Applebottom or whatever her name was.
You just do fun little references, and it's like, oh look, a Knives Out and murder crossover.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. And then he gets fed to a crocodile. All right, so what's next week? Steve.
This is awesome.
Steve.
I need to listen.
It's Expendables and It Lives Inside, I believe, are the two big ones. But there was a lot of releases actually this weekend. There was like
I didn't care about any of them.
Yeah, pretty much. But what's Black Dynamite's name?
Michael Jai.
Michael Jai White.
Is that a cowboy movie?
Yeah, it was a cowboy movie.
That came out?
It's at
I would want to see that.
It's at the theater north of us. I should say. And I was gonna go see it, but it's just like
it looks fun. Black Dynamite's great.
Yeah. There was a couple of. There's a Nicolas Cage, Ashley Greene movie. I can't even remember what that one was about.
Expendables. It Lives Inside of any two at our theater.
Okay.
It Lives Inside. Is that the?
That's not the Hulu one. No. It's not the Alien one.
No. I was gonna say is that the one with the? I don't want to get the culture, but it has a commercial with the girl's hair is getting pulled back, and then like the Indian ghost thing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, actually,
the Pakistani
it might be.
one.
I think so.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I said I don't remember what the culture was.
Like the Pakistani culture is not racist.
Well, if it's like they're a brown person, it's like they're Indian or Pakistani.
Well, you got to phrase it like I'm not sure what culture is somewhere in the Middle East. It's either Indian or Pakistan, or you name like 3 or 4. So then it's like
I could just do my fucking research.
That's true. You could have done that. But I think
I don't want to see it.
You don't need to say, and because maybe things will change, and you won't be available next week.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe we'll just skip a week, and then I'll come in strong. I finished Baldur's Gate.
No, you won't. Not in 2 weeks. You're not going to.
Finished Baldur's Gate, read 4 books, watched all the shows. I watched Ahsoka, Solar Opposites, Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett. I just caught up on all of them.
What happened? Kid died.
Life's better. Cut
Now
all
only if
that.
my wife will stop crying, I can't hear my video game prompts.
Just put the headphones on full blast, baby.
um, yeah, I mean, we could take a week off. I got a This Meets That, rip roaring, ready to go.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's all right. It's fine. And cutting that down, it went from like 53 minutes to. Oh, wait, hold on. I had it right. It went from 53 minutes, 21 seconds to 45 minutes and 44 seconds.
All right.
Because there was so much. What are we going to call this thing? I don't know. and then going, celibate. Ooh. Anywho, oh yeah, we'll figure out what we're doing next week. Maybe we'll do a Make Me Watch or something. You know? Or we'll do nothing at all and you come back even stronger. I doubt that. That means I come back twice as strong as I normally do. So for your 4 things, I'll have 16 things.
Oh my god.
It's going to be a long one. Tune in 2 weeks from now for our 3.5-hour episode.
Can't wait.
All right. If you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.